My name's Stephen Caruana. I'm a Churchill Fellow, and in 2018 I undertook a visit to several countries in Europe and New Zealand to look at the implementation of a UN treaty called the Optional Protocol to the Convention Against Torture. That treaty sets up a system of oversight bodies that monitors places of detention across countries, ensuring that a human rights lens is taken and that people are protected and their human rights are safeguarded. Australia ratified this convention in 2017 and has until January next year to be fully compliant with that convention. My Churchill Fellowship and the Policy Impact Program that I've undertaken makes 3 recommendations to reaching compliance, which accord very much with very recent decisions of the UN Committee Against Torture and the suspended visit of the UN Subcommittee for the Prevention of Torture. The 3 recommendations I've made is to ensure that the definition of deprivation of liberty is broad and consistent with the articles of the OPCAT. At the moment, there is a divide between primary places of detention, which are your more traditional places of detention, like prisons and immigration detention, and secondary places of detention, which could be disability group homes and aged care. That divide is not consistent with the OPCAT, and the Committee Against Torture has said we're non-compliant if we continue to go down that pathway. So I've recommended that that is removed and the broad interpretation is taken. The second recommendation is about ensuring there is federal legislation to cover the treaty and ensure that each state and territory is responsible for designating oversight bodies in their jurisdiction to undertake the work in compliance with the treaty. At the moment, each state and territory is doing something differently, and it is in effect ensuring that they're working inconsistently. Some are meeting the treaty obligations and some are not. With overarching legislation, that will ensure that everyone knows their responsibilities and can meet them. The third and final recommendation is about funding. For the last 5 years, the states and territories have been in argument with the federal government about who's going to fund this national network of oversight bodies and who will provide the ongoing funding, with the states and territories saying that the Commonwealth ratified the treaty and therefore has responsibility, whereas the states and territories, where the bulk of places of detention, have the normal responsibility to ensure their facilities meet human rights standards. I'm not sure who should do it, but I think it's a joint responsibility, and I make that clear that after 5 years, we shouldn't be at this point. We should be moving forward, ensuring that we meet our opt-out obligations. Thank you.